Wouldn't it be nice to have several thought leaders in your industry know and love your brand? Start a podcast. Invite your industry's thought leaders to be guests on your show, and start reaping the benefits of having a network full of industry influencers. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com. Sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to the B2B Growth Show, a podcast dedicated to helping B2B executives achieve explosive growth. Whether you're looking for techniques and strategies or tools and resources, you've come to the right place. I'm Jonathan Green.
And I'm James Carberry.
Let's get into the show. Welcome back to the B2B Growth Show. Today we are joined by Daniel Wallock. Daniel is an expert marketer, he's a heart condition survivor, and he's a published author. Daniel, welcome to the show.
Hi, Jonathan. I'm excited to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show today. Today we're actually going to be talking about content that drives conversions and real trust. I think it's a very powerful topic we're going to be talking about today. But before we get into all of that, Daniel, maybe you can tell our listeners a little about yourself and what you've been up to.
Yeah, so I've been doing marketing for a long time now, about 7 or 8 years. But only in the last 2 years have I really ran a marketing agency type business. I've worked with about 50 companies, all while being a full-time student in college, which has been pretty crazy. So I've had the opportunity to work with really cool people and companies like BMW I Ventures, the American Heart Association, even my college, Sarah Lawrence College. It's been really fun.
That's fantastic. I mean, obviously you have a lot on your plate, so we really do appreciate you carving some time out of your schedule to be with us here on the show. Again, talking about this idea that you need to create content that drives conversions. It creates real trust. We were talking a little bit offline before we started recording how I think that this conversation we're about to have right now is very important because everyone is producing content. No one is a stranger to the concept that, content is king. But the problem is we're reaching this sort of saturation point. We're reaching a point where everyone is creating content, but there's only so many hours in the day. So creating content is obviously important, but you have to go beyond that. You have to do additional work. You have to create content now that is more insightful, more valuable than ever before. We're also going to be getting into the evolution of case study content, but I don't want to step on your toes. So Daniel, take it away. What are we really going to be talking about today? Yeah,
no, Jonathan, you really said it right. That's what's going on. I mean, what's going on is people say, "Oh, we need to do content for our business," and they go out and a lot of people end up first hiring someone who doesn't know much about content marketing, or they might hire a content marketing agency, but I don't know how common that is. But I guess what I mean to say is you can do content, and everyone says it's a long-term strategy, but it doesn't have to be a long-term strategy. You don't want to publish 20 articles and see 0 leads, especially if you're spending $500 per article, and it's a 3,000-word article or whatever it might be. There's ways to do this where you build real authority and real trust. And that's by using things like screen capture video to show them live feed of you if you're a marketing agency doing your work, or if it's another company, maybe a video testimonial that integrates to your content. There's a lot of ways to build trust, and I think a lot of it has to do with just having transparent content. And I think, it's just been interesting because everyone is pumping out so much stuff. But it's not about quantity. Or at least for me, I had one piece, a single piece that I wrote drive me more leads than in the last 2 years combined. A single article.
Yeah. Daniel, I don't know how specific you can get about this article, but if there's any way we can talk about what it was that you did specifically, what you think, what was the element that built the most trust, that built the most traffic to that created sort of these real conversions that we're talking about today.
Great, yeah. So what I'd say about that is that I first want to make a comment on the authority blogs and press. So I've been featured in almost every major magazine, and I've seen very little traffic from that, probably less than 500 visitors combined. I've had over 34 press placements and, less than 500 visitors. I say that just to the degree it's not about where your content is going all the time. Of course, I've had some of those articles drive a few leads, but when I published my content on a blog that was with my target audience, and then that content showed my target audience that I probably could solve their problem better than anyone in the world. So it was a case study. It produced massive results.
There are a lot of companies out there that they believe in their service, they believe in their product, they know, hey, we've got a solution for you, we can solve your problem. But where would you say then, as they're generating their own content, where are they missing their mark? I mean, it almost sounds like you're seeing more content that is, I don't know, less authentic or less genuine, or, is there a different piece of the puzzle that people are missing?
I don't even know if I'd qualify it this way, but it's almost like you can look at a company's blog and say, oh, they're just making content because they need to make content, or someone told them that that's the thing to do. Like, it doesn't look like, as Rand Fishkin would say, like, it doesn't look like 10x content. This is not Whiteboard Friday. It's just random stuff that they had someone spin into an article.
Yeah.
Or it's not necessarily random, but it doesn't appeal the way that a case study that might have taken 3 weeks to write and that really looks at solving a massive problem would. And so I think there's a guy named Dennis Yu, and recently him and I have been talking a good amount, and his content is incredible. And the reason I was so attracted to speaking with him is because his content clearly demonstrated that he was the one to solve a lot of the things I had questions about.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, and Daniel, this makes perfect sense. I agree with sort of everything that you're saying in terms of, why building authority can drive quality leads, why you need to create very specific content that, again, drives real conversions, real trust. And you had even mentioned a little bit earlier in the interview some specific examples. Can we talk a little about what you meant by these screen capture videos? Some of the techniques that you've seen work, some of the things that we can leave our listeners with, that they can go back to their company and say, hey, I think this is what we should be doing with our content moving forward.
Yeah, so I'll leave some names out here, but I've seen some great success with screen capture video to show your audience exactly what you're doing on the computer, live feed. So this works for creative or marketing agencies really well. And I just started doing this on my own YouTube channel because I've seen it work for some of my friends who have agencies. And the reason is you can't really lie about what's on the screen. And it's also just so genuine to be going through and showing people the ad results or whatever it might be. It doesn't have to be in the marketing or creative agency space. It could even be you having a dialogue with a client and then asking the client if you could tweet about it and showing you impressing them in the customer service or something like that. I think there's a lot of ways to do things that are creative, that are a little bit beyond what people see as, quote, business appropriate, but that will actually build genuine relationships. So, for example, on my Facebook, so at the end of the episode, I'll probably plug my Facebook because I'm getting more leads through my Facebook than any of the other channels right now.
Yeah, and I actually was talking to someone that we've had on the show, John Ferrara, who had given me some advice after the show. We were just sort of wrapping, and he asked me about my Twitter account. And so for my Twitter account, sometimes I pay attention to it. I don't pay as much attention to it as other things in my life. There's only so many hours in the day. But he had said one of his pieces of advice was, put out content, put out information, tweet about things that are relevant and personal in your life. People that's going to resonate with people. They're going to see who you are. They're going to see the genuineness. It doesn't always have to be, hey, check out this piece of content that we created for business. It can be more personal. And I feel like you're sort of tapping into this idea that you can be more personal in business these days, but I think there's also some pushback. I think people might say, there still is this, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, delineation between your personal life and your business life. But are you saying that that line is blurred now, or is there still a line?
I think it really just depends on the size company you're in and what you're doing there. But for people in smaller companies or mid-sized companies, and I'd say, let's just qualify that. Let's say under $5 million a year, or in my case, a lot of the clients I work with are between 1 to 3 million annual recurring revenue. And, I think in that space, there's a lot more room to be personal because you are maintaining relationships. And that's part of being a brand. What I would also say is those people who you are interacting with are not just leads. They're people, and they do have emotional lives. I don't want to name the company. When I was at one of these Fortune 500 brands, I developed a really close relationship with one of the employees there, and he became a mentor for me. And I stayed on just because I enjoyed spending time with him. And, it comes down to relationships, a lot of it. A side little tip I want to give is if you are using Twitter or you are using Facebook for your business, what I started doing is I run Twitter ads to all my followers for a few dollars a day. Hear that? A few dollars. But they keep seeing my face and seeing my positive tweets, so they all remember I exist. And when they have somebody who needs marketing work and they keep seeing me every day, those impressions, it's just really good to repeat that image.
Yeah. And it's always great to see a marketer or a marketing company that sort of puts into practice the same techniques that they use for their clients, because it's sort of like you say, it shows this transparency. It almost shows that, hey, I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I'm using the same things for you that I use for myself because I know that it works.
That's exactly it. And that's why I think it's so impressive when a brand or a company showcases something that shows them using their service or shows them solving a problem they had. At least in the creative or marketing agency side, it's something that's easier to do. Or actually, I wouldn't even say that because I don't see a lot of marketing companies doing any marketing or like public branding and things like that. But when you do invest in that and show that you believe in it, it's going to be a lot easier to convince someone else to do it.
Yeah, I think it really relates back to your point of real transparency. And, Daniel, you'd mentioned sort of these screen capture videos. You had mentioned screenshots of advertising campaigns, having video testimonials, other things that demonstrate real transparency. Before we let you go today, was there anything that we didn't get a chance to cover or any pieces of advice you want to leave our listeners with?
Yeah, if you're already not doing it, look into building case studies and look into, even if it's having your current clients do video testimonials and then feeding them to your Twitter audience, whatever it might be, do things of trial and error. You really can, you can go out and spend $15 on that Twitter video and get it seen by 500 people, 1,000 people, or more than that, probably a lot more than that. But the idea is you can reach these people who are already watching you for a very little amount of money. And here's another side thing. I served ads when I made the Huffington Post about 7 months ago, and I served them to all my clients and past clients, and that brought in a ton of new revenue, which is crazy. The actual press didn't bring in new leads, like new revenue from that, but my current clients renewed contracts or past ones got in touch with me.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And I think it's a great takeaway. Daniel, I do really appreciate your authenticity that you've brought here on the show today. If any of our listeners are interested in connecting with you, learning more about this idea that, you need content that drives conversions and real trust, what's the best way for them to go about doing that?
Yeah, so like I said, I'm really digging social right now, so you can tweet me at Daniel Wallock. You can also Facebook me, just type in my name, Daniel Wallock.
And it's all the same. Like you said, you're sort of, you've got your business life and your personal life, but there's less of a distinction there. You're just being very honest, being very transparent with everyone out there.
I'm doing my best, yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. Daniel, thank you so much for your time today. It was a pleasure having you on the show.
Of course. Thank you.
To ensure that you never miss an episode of the B2B Growth Show, subscribe to the show on iTunes or your favorite podcast player. This guarantees that every episode will get delivered directly to your device.
If you or someone you know would be an incredible guest for the B2B Growth Show, email me at jonathan@sweetfishmedia.com and let us know. We love connecting with B2B executives, and we love sharing their wisdom and perspective with our audience.
Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.